Okay, in this video I'm going to go through some other little things that I haven't mentioned that you should probably be aware of as a beginner. The first thing will be reading a song sheet. I make these song sheets and I've been dropping links to them from my website, and these are pretty standard. You can find them from any kind of instructor or from websites like Ultimate Guitar. And how you read them, normally the chord appears above the point in the lyrics when that chord occurs. Okay, so it lines up nicely when you're trying to sing along. What you have to be careful of when you look at these is to just double check, because sometimes if a chord is played for, say, 2 or more measures, the chord might only be written once. So you have to just use your ears and check, hang on, how many measures was that chord held for? How many times should I strum it? Okay, so look out for that. What I try and do with my own song sheets is to write down every chord, every measure, so it's nice and clear. And if ever there is a progression which has, say, a measure where there are half notes, I like to put a little half beside the chord name, indicating it's a half note, which you remember will be 2 beats. Okay, and a quarter beside a chord name would be playing that for a quarter note, just for 1 beat. Other things I present in my videos when I go through chord progressions, things that I bring up on screen, you may have seen a couple of symbols that you're not clear on. Firstly would be this, that you see at the end of a progression. That is a repeat sign. Okay, so how that is to be read, you would play the progression, for example, these 4 measures, and there's a repeat sign, so you would go back to the beginning and you would play it all again. If there's often to be repeated more than once, it will give an indication of how many times you are to repeat that chord progression. Similar, but not quite a full progression repeated, is this symbol here. And what that means is to repeat the previous measure. So say you've got a progression and you have a C chord, and it's going to be another C chord, and then you would change, say, to a G, or something like that. 2 Gs. What you could do, you could write the C chord and then you put the repeat sign. So you play that C chord again and then the G and a repeat sign again. Okay, so that's what that is for, that kind of like percentage looking sign. You can see one too, which has 2 lines, and that goes across 2 measures, and that means you repeat the previous 2 measures. Okay, drop my pick. Other things to look out for is what we call a time signature. That's at the very start of the music. We're going to assume that you're going to be seeing 4/4. I mentioned this, I think, in the metronome tutorial. 4/4 is just going to simply mean we have a measure of 4 beats, so we're counting 4 beats to every measure. We also might see rests. It's quite a big topic, but just quickly going through rests. Rests are silence in the music where you do not play, and particularly when it relates to the guitar, you would be stopping the strings, okay? So each note that we've discussed, whole note, half note, quarter note, eighth note, has a corresponding rest. And a whole rest looks like this, a half rest looks like this, quarter rest is the squiggly thing, and then an eighth rest is this sort of 7, I guess, this 7 looking shape. So, for example, if you have a progression or whatever, and you have, say, a quarter note rest on beat number 3. If my speed is this, a quarter note rest on beat 3, when I'm strumming quarter note, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, stop, 4, 1, 2, stop. So anytime you see a rest, you know that you have to be silent. And the last thing you might see in my tutorials are these crosses in a rhythm, and I've discussed these a little bit with the songs I've covered. These are what we call dead notes, and they refer specifically to percussive strums, where we kind of do something like this. So when we have that hitting of the strings, the idea that we're strumming a rhythm, but we're not getting a chord coming out at that point. You have a cross, and that means a dead note in which you will be strumming the strings, but hitting some sort of percussive hit rather than an actual physical strum. And I think that's all.